Cluck up, campers, because today we're descending into a story that's deeper than a rooster's regret after crossing the wrong road. A group of children ventures into the woods and finds a hidden well. But what they discover inside isn't water, it's something much, much worse. So fluff your feathers and brace for the plunge, because this one is cluckin' terrifying. In the sleepy town of Merrill Creek, there was a neighborhood called Hickory Lane. White picket fences, tire swings, dads mowing lawns, and that faint smell of barbecue every weekend. But right at the edge of this slice of suburban heaven was a stretch of woods so dense and shadowy that even the dogs wouldn't chase squirrels in there. Most people called it Bitterroot Forest, but the kids called it the Green Curtain because from a distance, the thick trees looked like a solid green wall. It was summer break. Hot days, dripping popsicles, scraped knees, and mosquito bites. And five kids, Eli, the 12-year-old ringleader, his shy younger sister Maddie, and their three friends, Noah, Lucas, and Tina, had made it their mission to explore every inch of the green curtain. They weren't supposed to go in. Parents warned them about sinkholes, snakes, and old barbed wire fences. But curiosity? It's like gasoline to a child's imagination, and Eli always had the match. On July 13th, they found it. They were playing a made-up game called Sticks and Shadows when Maddie spotted it. A circular stone ring covered in moss, half buried in a dip between tree roots. It was a well, but there was no crank, no bucket, just a black mouth gaping at the sky and the faint smell of wet earth. Lucas dropped a rock in it. No splash, no clink, just a long silence. Then Tina spotted something even weirder. A wooden ladder bolted into the inside wall of the well, descending into the darkness. It looked ancient, rotted wood and rusted iron rungs. What if it leads to an underground cave? Eli whispered. What if it leads to hell? Maddie whispered back. But Eli was already sliding his foot onto the first rung. They all argued. Maddie was scared. Tina said it was unsafe. But in the end, curiosity won, as it always does with children. And one by one, they climbed down into the hollow below. It was cool inside the well. Not cold, cool, like a forgotten basement. They counted the rungs. 42 before they touched down on packed, dry dirt. Their flashlights, tiny beams from dollar store headlamps and cell phones, lit up a tunnel. It was wide enough to stand in. The air smelled of old rain and something faintly sweet, like rotting fruit. They walked in single file, deeper into the tunnel. After about 20 minutes, they found the first thing. It was a doll, propped upright against the wall. Porcelain, pale face, cracked cheek, and glassy eyes that stared through them. Lucas swore it blinked. They pressed on. The tunnel led to what looked like a small underground chamber. A square room with 5 doors, one on each wall and one behind them. On the ground, drawn in white chalk, or possibly something worse, was a circle of symbols. Not childish drawings, not graffiti, something ritualistic. Eli stepped around it carefully. Each door had something etched into the wood. The first said, "Knock first." The second, "Do not enter." The third, "Return what was taken." The fourth, "Only one comes back." And the fifth door, the one behind them, was now gone. Just blank wall. They were trapped. They started to panic. Lucas screamed. Maddie cried. Tina hyperventilated. But Eli, ever the brave one, picked the first door. Knock first. He knocked. Nothing happened. She opened the door slowly. Inside was a stone spiral staircase, descending even further. They took a vote. Either wait and hope the door reappeared, or keep going. They chose to descend. The staircase felt alive, not moving, but pulsing, like they were walking through the ribcage of something massive and sleeping. The stone was warm. Maddie said she heard breathing. At the bottom was a massive circular chamber, walls lined with hundreds of alcoves, each containing a statue of a child. But they weren't statues. They were perfectly preserved, like wax figures, frozen in expressions of fear, sorrow, or confusion. Lucas puked. Then they heard a sound from above. Footsteps on the stairs. Someone else was coming down. They turned to run, but the tunnel was gone. The chamber was sealing shut. From the shadows came a whisper. Return what was taken. Eli remembered the doll. Maddie had taken it. Her backpack was unzipped. The doll was gone. It was never hers to take. From the darkness stepped a tall, thin woman in black lace. Her face was obscured by a veil, but her eyes glowed amber beneath it. She walked like a marionette, joints bending wrong. In her hand was the doll. She pointed a crooked finger at Maddie. One must stay. One must be remembered. Eli screamed they didn't understand. The woman replied with a riddle. To open the door that leads you back, one must remain to walk the black. Tina offered to stay. Lucas said no. He would. Maddie cried. Eli made the decision. He kissed Maddie's forehead, handed her the flashlight, and whispered, "Tell Mom I'm sorry I didn't take the trash out." Then he stepped forward. The woman touched his forehead. The chamber shook. The wall behind them crumbled. A path appeared. The kids ran. They never looked back. They emerged from the well at dawn. Time had moved strangely. It had only been a few hours. Search parties found them minutes later. Maddie tried to explain what happened. No one believed her. The well, sealed with concrete a week later. Lucas and Tina never spoke of it again. But Maddie kept the flashlight, and inside the battery compartment, she found a photo folded into a square. A Polaroid. It was Eli, smiling, happy, standing in the tunnel. Behind him, barely visible, was the woman in black. And over the years, other kids in Merrill Creek began disappearing in the woods. Each time, a new doll appeared in that underground chamber. And if you walked the edge of the forest on a quiet night, you might still hear footsteps beneath your feet. Well, that story went downhill fast, deeper than a rooster's last romantic regret. If you ever see a mossy old well in the woods, maybe just keep clucking. Don't be a feather brain. And remember, if it asks you to return what was taken, make sure it wasn't your nuggets of courage. Until next time.